Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is head or heart. And what we're really going to be talking about is the dichotomy that we often set up between head and heart, and that there might actually be another path. So let's talk about that. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs and flowing into your bloodstream and nourishing all your cells and your organs and bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating and electrifying, energizing all your cells, your electrons, your molecules, lighting you up from the inside out. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining stress, tension, negativity, fatigue. And now let's just gently press our palms together and softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms to feel the delicious sensation that you're tickling and tingling in your palms and your fingertips, and allow that to bring you present right here, right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Andrea. It's so good to have you here with us. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us this Friday morning. And today we're going to talk about head and heart. And we often set up this polarity, like get out of your head, get into your heart. I'm not in my heart. I was in my head. And what I want to invite us to entertain is a third path, which is an integrated wholeness. So I have a bunch of conversations with clients about being in our heads, right? And typically when we say that I'm in my head, we are expressing a sense of disconnection, that we're in our heads disconnected from our hearts. And when we talk about being in our heart or being heart-centered, we don't necessarily correlate that with logic and reason and academic kind of thought. Good morning, Rosalind. So good you're here with us. Great to have you with us. So in a conversation with a client, I said, I think there's a space to look at, instead of this dichotomy between being in your head or being in your heart, how about being in alignment? How about being connected? We often think of being in our heart as being connected, but it doesn't mean that our head is disengaged. This kind of revelation came about as a result of just this conversation saying, hey, you know what, when I'm doing spreadsheet stuff, it doesn't mean that I'm disconnected from my heart. I'm still present to my heart. I'm not polarizing myself and my experience. I'm still there. And I think that what we get to do is to create a unification of head and heart and wholeness, which is even beyond the head or the heart in its isolation. And I think that this is kind of aligned with our other ongoing theme of building bridges and being able to hold polarities, to be able to hold the contradiction, to be a large enough space and presence to encompass the spectrum of experience. Good morning, Dennis and Tammy. Great to have you guys here with us. So we're talking about head and heart and how we make this separation in our minds. And I think that rather than trying to find our way back to our heart, what we get to do is to find our way to integrated alignment. And that means integrating the heart with the mind, with our total presence. And I understand why. Good morning, Susan. So good to have you here with us. I understand why people talk about, get out of your head, get out of your head, get into your heart, because we have been so conditioned culturally to be these disconnected heads. So we need to, or we're called to put more attention and deliberate choice and intention in connecting back to ourselves. But the thing is that when we're connecting back to ourselves, it's not just our heart that we're connecting to, right? We don't lose our cognitive capacity, right? There's tremendous intelligence when we have that alignment. And the way that I imagine that is that there's this wonderful integration and unity and alignment within our being that I call presence. It all comes back to presence. Good morning, Jennifer. I'm delighted to hear that you're listening, and please pay attention to the road as you're driving. Great to have you joining us. And Susan says, too much overthinking that I do. And you know what, Susan, you're not alone. And that's why we keep saying, get out of your head, right? Because that tends to be the only mechanism that we operate from in so many cases. And part of when we are so cerebral, when we are so mentally focused, one of the ways that we can come back to balance is to start to connect with our heart. And as we do so, allow an interplay, allow an exchange of information. So Susan says, too much overthinking out of worry. So we get to talk about worry. What is worry? Worry is negative expectation projected forward. That's all it is. It's negative imagination projected forward, thinking about all the terrible things that could happen, or or even going over and over and over things that have happened, and we're taking that experience that may have been negative and projecting that forward. So Susan says, yes, when I'm focused, I feel great. Exactly. So the recipe is to come back to presence. That's where we find this integrated alignment with our being. So I've spoken before about how our culture makes an enemy of the ego, and having to tame the ego and kill the ego and lose the ego and surrender the ego. And I have a little bit different take on it, not to say that this is the truth or how it should be, but I invite you to entertain the possibility that maybe we get to befriend the ego. And so, what this is all about is about achieving wholeness. And if the ego is part of who we are, then we get to embrace that too. we get to embrace all aspects of ourselves to come to a greater wholeness and a more complete alignment. And so in talking about this embracing of all aspects, uh, I remember a period of time where I was deliberately and consciously going through all facets of beingness. And Suzanne says sometimes ego is self-love. Well, the way I see ego is that the way that I see ego is that it is the vehicle through which we connect. It's like the persona that we connect with the world, that we interface with the world. And if we have a balanced, like I imagine a balanced ego being a balanced sense of self, being able to be present. And when we are fully present, we kind of transcend ourselves. So maybe it's transcending the ego in those moments, because we become part of the flow. But the ego is the vehicle through which we have experiences that we learn and love and experience. So Susan says, by the way, not by accident, I'm present here with you now. Thank you. I love it. I love it. No accident. So I just find that when we create these separations within ourselves, you know, whether it's ego or head, heart, my inner child, you know, like these constructs can be very helpful as a vehicle to greater awareness. And ultimately, what we're aiming for, at least the way that it looks to me, that what we're aiming for is this presence, this alignment with our inner intelligence and our inner directive, you know, our inner inspiration, our soul song. And that encompasses all of it. So I was starting to say that some time ago, I remember being in an exercise where I was allowing myself to experience being all things, being all aspects of humanity. And if you're familiar with the Ho'oponopono prayer, it goes this way: I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And this prayer it has some lore behind it, and I don't know if it's a true story or not a true story, or if I'm even going to portray the story accurately. But essentially, it was about this man who was I think he was a psychologist or he was a psychiatrist at an institution for the criminally insane, I believe. And he never saw, according to the story, as I recall it, he never saw a single patient. He had all their files, and he sat with their files, and he saw what their crimes were. And the premise here is that I am you and you are me, that the world emanates from each of us, that we are the creators of the world, essentially. And so what happened was he would sit with these files and he would presence himself to this other person as an extension of himself, as a creation of himself. And he said, I'm sorry, I'm sorry for the circumstance and for the conditions that created this dynamic for you in your life and for everyone who was part of this dynamic. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Forgive me for creating the possibility in the world for this pain, this suffering, this whole circumstance, this whole dynamic. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. In other words, I accept you fully and completely. Thank you. Gratitude. Gratitude for the opportunity to presence ourselves to that dimension of experience, that dimension of connection, that awareness. And so this is a profound, profound meditation, particularly when you allow yourself to connect. And so as the story goes, eventually the whole institution was cleared, that all these people recovered and were healed. And so this prayer, whenever we have an altercation with another, this prayer enables us to build a bridge. We keep talking about bridges, but it enables us to build a bridge of connection, forgiveness, acceptance, gratitude, appreciation. And this is something that we can do with ourselves as well. So we can use these constructs, as I said earlier, like of our child self, or the wounded child, or our self at any different age, the people that have caused us pain, or that we have been in a dance with, where we've experienced pain and suffering. We can do this practice for parts of ourselves, for other people. And here Susan asks, can you send this prayer to me on Messenger? So beautiful. So I will repeat it. It's called Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, I think. And it's very, very simple. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And you'll hear different ways of saying it, like different, maybe sometimes people do it in a different order, but that's the basic of it. So I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And that's awesome. Jennifer has it on a sticky note in the kitchen, on a kitchen cabinet. That's awesome, Jennifer. It's really profoundly, profoundly powerful when you presence yourself to the connection that we are. And we all have the ability to heal one another, ourselves and one another, through the quantum field. And the thing is, here, what was happening and why this becomes so powerful and profound, I don't know what Maggie was eating, is that we are all one. We are all connected. And to be seeing ourselves as separate is an illusion. We are all aspects of one another. And so also when the apology is, I'm sorry, it's I'm sorry that I behaved that way, and I'm sorry that I created the condition for that behavior, because I am the creator of the world, right? So I create the world. And if I take responsibility and create forgiveness and appreciation and gratitude and love, then the healing occurs. And we can do this with ourselves. So when we talk about the dichotomy between head and heart, and when I'm disconnected, I'm capable of doing all kinds of heinous things, behaving in all kinds of ways that I would not prefer to behave. And we can do Ho'oponopono for ourselves in that situation. And so the idea here is to find unity within ourselves and with one another. And in like that, maybe this is something that we can do with our system right now. Maybe we can look at the polarities and the fear and the pervasiveness and the polarities in our culture right now. And maybe we can just take a moment to do Ho'oponopono with that, to look at all the factionalism that's occurring right now, all the fear, all the control, all the disruption. Maybe we can just say, I'm sorry, like this is a reflection of me. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I love you. And this is loving all of us, loving all of ourselves and all of the expressions of ourselves in the world. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for showing myself to me. Thank you for being willing to be a mirror in this way so that I can see myself more fully. Powerful, 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 right? It is a radical shift of perspective. I agree. Susan says this is life-changing. It is. If we can presence ourselves to it, the I'm sorry is not with guilt and shame. It's taking ownership. It's taking ownership and really presencing ourselves to the pain that has been perpetrated by whatever that behavior might be, or that thought pattern. And please forgive me. And who are we asking forgiveness of? Ourselves, ultimately, because it's all of us. It's all us. If the world is our projection, like, I'm sorry for creating this kind of crazy projection. And Jennifer says, Ho'oponopono always brings me back to the oneness of everything. And what we put out is what we see in the world. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Yes. Susan says, deeply grateful. It does. This is a really, really, really powerful practice. And I think this week we've spoken a lot about external influence and disruption and systems. And today is a remembering that we have this tool at our disposal and that we can create miracles with it. And so let's do that. Let's do that. It's so powerful. I remember this was amazing. I think it was a couple years ago now. It was definitely more, it was at least 5 years ago, come to think of it. I was sitting on my stoop and I'm on a main street, and there was a woman walking by, and she was sort of hunched, and I don't know, she was dressed in sort of winter clothes and walking very slowly. And I was sitting there and I was present, like in Ho'oponopono land, in the oneness, like seeing that the world was my projection. And just in that moment, I was emanating love. And I saw this woman and I saw her as me. And she stopped. She was hunched. She was walking by. She stopped. She turned directly to me and she said, "I love you." And then she continued walking and I was blown away. It was like an apparition. It was, and I've seen her since. And every time I see her, it's just like magic. But yeah, it was a very, very, very magical and powerful moment. And that's who we are. So Susan says, Abraham says, a cooperating component. Exactly. Exactly. Or a reflection. How much more immediate a reflection can you get of your power for creation in the world than something like that? It's really quite remarkable. We are really quite remarkable. We have unbounded capabilities that we are completely unaware of. And let's tap that power. Let's tap that power for oneness and connection and changing the trajectory of history. Let's bring consciousness to play in transforming the world, because we can. I really, really, really believe that we can. And I too believe in miracles, Susan. So yes, I believe that we can. And we've talked about how it's important for each of us to step up and show up. And this is one way we can do it. This is one way that we can do it in peace and love. And Jennifer says, I believe we can too. I think that this is what's going to change the world. That we get to focus our consciousness not on the fear, not on the divisiveness, not on the separation, not on the control, not on resistance, perhaps, but instead, or in addition, to put our attention on the wholeness and the love and the possibility, and to open the doors for the highest expression of humanity. So with that, and so much love to you, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live. Ouch, Maggie, she's pecking my head. I go live each weekday morning here on Enlightened World Network's Facebook page. Please check out the other wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network on the in EWN One with the Earth Facebook page and Enlightened World Living. And yeah, Tammy, you laugh. You laugh while I bleed. Anyway, so much love to you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I hope to see you again next week.